Stardate 0924.2021. Wait, that's wrong. Welcome to Star Trek Discovery Pod, a kind of smart, kind of funny podcast about new and classic Star Trek. I'm your reluctant captain, Mike Garcia. With me on the view screen, we have.
Mariah Gossett.
Clyde Haynes.
And Grant.
And tonight we're streaming the pod live on YouTube to celebrate Q and good old John Luck Picard. Yes, we're continuing our Q Explained series, covering some of the best Q episodes from TNG. This week we'll dive into the TNG finale. All good things with an eye on Q and Picard's relationship to maybe glean some clues about Picard season 2 coming up in like fucking 4 years from now. 2022. And speaking of Picard season 2, we'll also talk about the new teaser trailer for that show that dropped last week on Captain Picard Day. So look forward to that.
It's gonna be very exciting.
Yeah. Clyde, tell the people about things.
About the things. Okay, so if you are watching us live, like right now, if you're watching us live on YouTube, hey, drop some questions and comments in the live chat. All you got to do is type capital P, capital O, capital D, capital pod in the chat, and we'll say, hey, that's what Choopy's talking about.
Do it. And if you are listening to our audio version of the podcast, make sure you can actually catch us live on YouTube next time. We're usually here Thursdays at 9 p.m. Central or 9 p.m. Texas time, as I've been referring to it. And you can also subscribe to the audio version on all podcast platforms. You can find links to everywhere to listen to us at StarTrekPod.co. And if you don't want to miss us on any of these video platforms so that you can chime in and interact with us, there's usually a way to set your notification bell, click those things, and your phone or whatever device you're on will alert you that we're going live so that you can join us. You
Mike,
are on mute.
I think you're muted. He's recognizing.
Am I muted?
Now there he is.
There you are. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about this Picard season 2 teaser trailer. I'm going to pull up some stills from the trailer real quick. Y'all feel free to jump in and discuss some of this Picard season 2 madness. Let's see. All right, so we start off with Picard at the chateau, wearing
his
dressed like he's in X-Men Days of Future Past.
I'm telling you, black on black on black on black on black. He's like a.
I do think the costume and set design, though, of all of these stills, like I know it's in like really rapid pace, because they don't really want us to figure anything out, look great. So like shouts to props and wardrobe.
Mariah always giving everybody props, even though this costuming is worse than last season.
I'm going to say it, and I mean, because somebody has to say it, and it's the wrong thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. He looks old.
He's
moving
in
on.
his 80s.
I know.
Of course.
Someone who does not look old or that old.
Ugh.
John Delancey, it's Q, looking all Cialis ad ready. He's good to go.
The stash is good.
That's where I want to be, because I'm be honest with you, I think he looks better.
Yeah, he looks good.
Like,
it's the beard, right?
He just it's everything.
I think someone has been moisturizing is all I can say.
I'm like, that's how I want to grow old. I want to get better, right? Like John, he looks cool, and he's also got the black on black going. Like, what's going on here?
They're at a funeral.
We're
quite clearly.
We don't want color in the future. We don't want a little splash.
He like tuned into that panel, like for Star Trek, that big panel day they had a couple of months ago from a boat. So perhaps it's just living a life of pure leisure leads to less aging.
I'm just saying, a little bit of like red, some blue, a little gold, right? Some silver might brighten that right up.
My comment on the costuming earlier was last season's costuming was just so like minimalistic and modern and really cool looking, even though it looked a little futuristic. The stuff here, I think we'll get into it as I go through these photos, but it seems like your basic darker alternative timeline black clothing that everybody's wearing.
He even has an evil goatee.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Grant,
Isn't he? Yeah.
After watching all these Q eps, how do you feel about seeing Q show up in this teaser for Picard season 2?
He's supposed to be ageless, and he's not ageless. It's almost like the actor himself got old. That's my suspicion, my little
All right.
theory here.
All right, moving on.
But I'm excited to see what Q might bring to this episode because
Ooh, the
he
brooch.
has had a purpose, it seems, in manipulating Picard throughout the episodes, at least that I've seen of TNG.
But,
Are you circling his BlackBerry brooch?
I'm just
Yes.
to the brooch.
I'm just saying, this is what I'm talking about. This would be the perfect, like the
For a pop
perfect
of
spot.
color.
Little pop of color. We'll set that whole outfit off. Right? I mean,
I'm telling you, the black
think-
is on purpose.
I
It's trying to tell
know
us
it's
something.
on purpose. I'm just saying, like, look, that would have been nice. You didn't even have to do the whole thing, just the center of it.
It looks cancerous, whatever's on him.
I've noticed that everybody in this teaser has some
Wearing
kind
something.
of badge or brooch. I think they're just trying to sell more pins to us fans.
Mm.
I'm here for that.
Big Pin is in on this.
Yeah, big pin. And then we
Ooh.
jump to
Oh yeah.
what looks like Starfleet headquarters with Picard talking to a delegation. And if you look closer, I don't know how to zoom in on this, but Picard seems like there we go. Seems like this is a new uniform he's wearing. So
That's
it's
kind of hot.
it's either the dress uniform of the Starfleet uniforms we saw in season 1, or it's a completely different, alternative take on those uniforms, because we didn't see a uniform like this with the flap over.
Yeah. Do we know what all the flags are? I saw
Yeah.
like, Klingons. I saw.
Yeah, Marge says we should name those flags. I'm pretty sure I saw a Green Bay Packers flag in there. So I don't know. I don't know what that's about. See,
Yeah, I can name the flags. Let me bring that up.
By hot, referring to his outfit, Clyde, do you mean that it's polyester?
I mean, hot as in, like, there were some pieces of it that I thought, oh, that's cool. But as I looked at it more, I'm thinking, set, lots of light. You're gonna sweat a lot. Like that. You look really, really warm in that outfit.
Okay, you guys want to know what the flags are?
Yes.
From left to right, we have Klingon, Tellarite, Federation, Starfleet Command, Starfleet Academy, Vulcan, Bajor, and the Ferengi, which is notable because the Ferengi and Bajoran, Ferenginar and Bajor are not in the Federation as far as we know.
See, and that makes a lot of sense because, I thought it was the Green Bay Packers and it turns out to be the Ferengi. It's like the same thing. So
The
it works.
Tellarite totally looks like a soccer team flag.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Are any
Tellarite
flags good,
FC.
though? There's very few good flags. I feel like there's a 99% invisible episode about flag design that I enjoy
Probably.
because flags are hard to design.
Actually, I think the Federation flag is actually kind of cool.
I mean, but it looks like a UN flag.
It looks like
does.
the UN flag.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's familiar. Maybe it's not
Mhm.
good. It's just familiar.
Next, we see Rafi and Elnor. Maybe they're on Free Cloud. This looks kind of Free Cloud-ish. But if you look closely, seems to be like a dead body behind them.
Oh wow. I mean, at first I really thought this was a screenshot from Farscape. So thanks for clearing that up, Mike.
Looks pretty Farscapey. All you need is a Muppet in the background.
Right?
Yeah.
Look, I really thought this was Farscape.
But this looks pretty exciting. Looks like a good action sequence with these two characters hanging out together. Also in distress. Everybody seems to be in distress, or there's some kind of alteration to the world that we know from Picard season 1. So definitely some timeline changes or alternative timeline thing happening
it's funny
here.
to me that, like, in the 80s, we determined that neon lights were futuristic, and nothing has changed in 40 years.
No. It's like we saw them in Blade Runner, and it was like, okay, it's just locked in.
Canon.
Neon lights.
Somebody
in
just
the
decided
future.
Blade Runner, that's a template.
Which is interesting because you don't even see that many neon lights now. So I don't know when they just suddenly become in vogue.
I wonder if
And-
Elnor's trying to get Rafi out of there because she's had like a junkie relapse or something.
Anyway.
I
Okay.
mean, maybe she just killed this dude.
Oh,
I do like the idea of like if her hair is not as like big and voluptuous and amazing, that it's like a bad time for her versus, I don't know. It's like those small things where it's like
Like
there's changes in features to
in the
signify.
darker timeline, water pressure just sucks everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, and hello. We see Laris. And this is the only shot of Laris that we get in the trailer, but
Looks
it
very concerned.
yeah, she looks really concerned. She's at the chateau. She's looking out maybe at Picard taking off, maybe wanting to go with him. Hopefully we do see her like
Kicking
more
ass.
in more than like 2 or 3 episodes this season. We don't see
Yes.
Saban anywhere, but we see Laris. You guys excited to see Laris back?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest disappointments of the first season was just the lack of use of Laris. I mean, that was
she
just a
someone
waste.
outside of this show, like that you guys were
No.
already familiar with.
Nope.
'Cause I don't have any attachment to this character whatsoever. Like I
I mean-
don't care about her. I now know her name because you guys keep saying it, but otherwise I'm like,
Well,
she was just like a guest actor for like the beginning of like, hey, I
But
work
she
with.
like kicked ass when all
Yeah.
those people came into the chateau.
it,
was like,
for
wow.
me, I pay attention when you've got somebody who's not supposed to be a key player, but there's so much, for whatever reason, gravitas on a scene that you're drawn in, especially in a show where we were dying for, searching for, screaming for chemistry.
Mhm.
She
I
had
just
it.
don't remember her. I don't remember her or Zaban. I guess
They-
they were in the first episode and that was it, right?
They were Picard's like Romulan servants who were protectors. Like
Mhm.
they were two of the coolest characters in the entire season.
Yeah, they
Okay.
they took up a bulk of screen time in the first episode. They were in about 2 or 3 episodes, but then
Mhm.
when Picard went to space, they stayed on Earth. But the cool thing about Laris is that, and Saban as well, but especially Laris, was that they were revealed to be more than what they seemed. Right? They
Mhm.
were maybe part of the Tal Shiar or something like that, and they basically protected Picard and murdered a bunch of Zat Bosch agents.
Jat
and-
Voss.
Yeah, that came to kill him. And Laris turned out to be an excellent detective and helped him track down Soji in a really great scene. So, and also I'm a fan of Orla Brady. She was great in Fringe. She played Peter's mom on that and was really, really cool. So sci-fi fans like Orla Brady. So
She's great, is what I meant to say. Love the character.
The Momulan. That's new.
Fun fact: the actor Joshua Jackson, who was the son of her character in Fringe, was my babysitter when we lived in Vancouver.
you know Joshua Jackson?
Wait.
Oh, cool.
Your babysitter was Pacey?
Yeah, there's
What?
pictures of him at my parents' wedding. Yeah, his mom and my mom were like really good friends.
Can you get him on this podcast?
Pacey Witter.
I don't know, but I can try.
Yes.
No,
I don't know if he's a
no.
Star Trek
Next
person.
week.
No. The question is, can you talk to him?
AC, talking
Can you
Star
get
Trek.
me an introduction to Katie Holmes? That's what's up. That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
I don't think I have that power at all. Like
Okay,
I have
fine.
like an email address to an email address to talk to like his mom.
Can you
but-
get me an introduction to Katie Holmes to get me in with Tom Cruise
No.
so I can join Scientology?
I mean, now, Mike.
I don't
if,
think you need that to join Scientology.
Mike, if you want to start singing the theme song to Dawson's Creek, I won't stop you. I'm just saying.
Moving on.
Okay. Hello.
Soji, also with a pin. Surprised
Mhm.
Lars didn't have a pin. 2 pins, actually. One of them looks like the
Sister.
symbol of her and her twin that we saw in season 1. I don't know what this black one is, but unlike everyone else, Soji is wearing white. Or cream.
And apparently, shoulder pads are back in style.
Shoulder pads
I'm
are
into
back in
it.
style.
Very fierce.
She looks different, but
She looks pretty. She has like a really severe look to her.
it is. But I mean, I don't mind it.
I don't mind it either. I mean,
She's in Vegas,
Hey,
clearly. This is like an Ocean's 11 scene.
If this is potentially a darker timeline, this could be Daj. This could be the other one that was gold.
Mm.
Forgot her name. She was terrible.
perhaps.
What do we got? What?
Kim Pine
Kim
is
Pine.
back.
I saw you, Mike.
Seriously staring at that
That's
camera.
a little
Basically-
creepy. I'm a back away from the screen.
The only shot we get of Kim Pine in this trailer looking more murdery than ever. So she's murdering more people. Rios.
Yeah, I was rewatching it and he like touches the badge. So it feels like he's aware perhaps that this is a different timeline.
Yeah, I think at the beginning we see Picard in distress, wondering what's happening. We see Rios looking at the badge, looking around his ship, noticing the changes that we're noticing. And as we go on with these photos, we're going to see more characters seemingly in distress or noticing that things are different. So, yeah, it seems like the timeline has changed and our main characters are aware of it. Are they in
want
their
that-
own pocket timelines? Are they in the same timeline? I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe they're in the Terran timeline. I want that chair.
It's a good
That's a dope gamer chair right there.
Right? That is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
dope gamer chair.
Do
With
do you
that
want
red-
those sweet gloves he's got on?
Look
The
at that.
like the 3 fingers that are fingerless.
No, I
He's
don't-
been hit by a smooth criminal, this guy.
yeah, I don't think I need that, but like the chair though.
What happens if I click on here?
You gotta
Nothing.
keep the pinky and ring finger warm, but the other 3, you need the tips for interacting with stuff, probably.
So there is a close-up of his badge, which seems like a much larger Starfleet communication badge. And there
Mhm.
seems to be, at first it looked like an upside-down cross, which, wow. But now it looks like a sword, right? It looks like the hilt
Yeah.
of a sword. And in Star Trek lore, the other badge or insignia we see that has a sword on it, or the hilt of a sword, is the Terran timeline sword.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like
It's-
the upside down cross. I think it's part of Star Trek Judas Priest.
Yeah.
Okay. At some point, can we stick to one timeline, one universe?
Breaking the prime directive.
I'm just saying it feels like if this is a like I was joking earlier when I said Terran,
Mhm.
but like how many Mirrorverse episodes per season are we gonna do?
Yeah. I don't think this is supposed to maybe recall the mirror universe to let us know, like, okay, things are dark. That's why things look mirror universe-y, but I don't think we're in the mirror universe.
I hope not.
Hope we're not. And if we are, maybe it's just one episode. Maybe this is just the first, like, clips from the first, like, 2 or 3 episodes they shot that
Listen,
we're getting.
if we're gonna be in the mirror universe, you better bring on Captain Killy. Otherwise, I don't care. Just saying.
And then we see everybody together, finally united. No, well, not everybody. It's Picard and low water pressure Rafi and Elnor and Girardi back here. Everyone's still wearing black for the most part, except for Girardi.
This is
And
the X-Men shot.
Yes,
yeah,
you're
Picard
right.
is looking very Professor X-y in
Yep.
this shot for sure.
That his look is and everything. That's very like,
It's
know,
like,
and
"What's up,
Rafi's back
girl?
there looking
Not
like
that we go
Storm.
blind."
Yep.
And then we get to the last scene, which again, like the big teaser trailer for season 1, ends with the reveal of 7 of 9. But the reveal this time is that she wakes up and she's missing her Borg implants.
Okay.
So definitely in a different timeline.
And she's wearing a wedding ring.
She is wearing a black engagement ring. Wedding ring.
Yep. We're
Very
definitely in a weird
interesting.
mirrorverse.
So yeah, Q is putting them into another timeline, or he's changing things up. I mean, we've already seen in the last Q episode that we reviewed, the tapestry one, that he put Picard into a scenario where he changed the sequence of events and then saw a new alternate timeline that he could live in and experience. So this isn't beyond the realm of what Q can kind of play around with in his construct, right? And maybe that's what he's doing. He's doing some sort of experimentation with what if you and the Picard crew were living in some alternate divergent timeline, or is he like just straight up jumping between the multiverse? I don't know.
Yeah, this definitely has something to do with Q, because we hear Q in the voiceover say, "Welcome to the very end of the road not taken," which is very cute. This is Q saying this is a different timeline, a different place that I placed you in, but it's the very end of it. So that means that maybe he's continuing his trial of humanity. I don't know, guys. Do you think we are in one new timeline? Do we think we're going to be jumping throughout time?
Well,
I mean,
at the end of the episode that we're about to discuss, the TNG finale, we have this sort of reveal that Q's talking about how the rest of the Q continuum didn't believe that Picard could successfully execute what he does in the finale, right? So it seems like there was that Q himself placed a big gamble on proving the merit and worth of Picard, and that might have been to some greater end game and some greater purpose that we're going to get closure on in this next season. Which now that I'm glad that you kind of put me through this trial of seeing all these other Q episodes, because if that does pay off, that's going to be awesome. And if it doesn't, I'm going to be very disappointed, just like with first season.
I love how you described us asking you to watch some of the best Star Trek episodes, a trial.
This is
You put me through a
Q.
trial.
This is you being Q and putting me through a trial.
But that's a really good point. I think, Q definitely has something to do with this. And I think it would be great if the Picard writing staff went back and studied those Q episodes and decided, there's a lot of fruit left on the vine here in this trial of humanity arc. And we're gonna build upon that. I think that would be awesome.
would be
And
interesting.
we do see that Seven also notices that she has a new badge on her mantle. Another new badge. Everybody gets a badge. And
you
this
get a
one's-
badge, and you get a badge.
Yeah.
and you-
This one also seems to have maybe it looks like a star, but it could also be like the hilt of a sword, and looks like it has a half or a quarter moon around it in the back. The red coloring reminds me of the Klingon logo. The red coloring also reminds me of the Terran Empire. Grant's raising his hand.
I have a theory. What if Q posits an alternate timeline where it isn't Starfleet that ultimately wins in the war between them and Klingons? It's the Klingons who win, and they unite everything. And this is the Klingon Federation badge that they have now accepted humans like 7 of 9 as a part of.
That could be interesting.
I like it, but Picard and Rios do have different badges.
Well, they're
What
not
if
in that
that's a different timeline.
So
This is
everyone
before.
might be in their own pocket timeline or something.
I don't
Okay.
know.
If we look back at that scene with the delegation, the Klingon flag from left to right is first.
It's red and black, just like that pin, red, black, and white, and maybe a little bit of gold effects. And then it's got that little triangle thing, but maybe a fourth side makes itself known, and they have to make that triangle into a little bit more of a diamond shape.
I like it.
Mm.
But something that is throwing me off is they released a poster for the season on the same day, and it seems to depict, here it is,
Oh,
modern Los Angeles with the highways kind of twisting and turning to form the Starfleet logo. But it just looks like if you were to zoom in on those cars, those are 21st century cars.
Whales? We going back and saving some whales?
Do we have any whales left in 2021?
there are no whales.
We turned them all into rubber wedding rings.
I don't know.
I definitely think that we're in a situation. Well, okay, so you got to figure that the creators of this show know that we are going to do exactly what we're doing.
Right.
We're going to look at this frame by frame, and we're going to sit with a bunch of other Star Trek fans, and we're going to try and figure it out. And the last thing they want us to do is to be successful at that. So
yeah. I mean, the other thing is I feel like last season with Discovery and even with the first season of Picard, all of the previews we got up until the season started were all images from the very first episode.
Right.
Or the first two, or the first
Right.
first kind of mini arc.
It felt like it was the first episode and then the first 3 minutes of the second episode.
Exactly.
It was okay.
I mean, they very well could be it could be that Q has to put everyone through their own individual trials. Some, maybe a group of them do get sent back in time to our modern day, and they go through their own kind of trial. But I think this design of this poster is fantastic. I love this idea of using the highways as these timelines that are crisscrossing, right? Like if they're using this sort of as a metaphor for crossing timelines in the continuum, as well as just a way to tether the Trek of the future to something contemporary. This is a really cool poster.
I like that too. And I think
Yeah.
if you look at the poster and if you look at all these shots in the trailer, we don't see a lot of space shots. And this poster is specifically depicting a location on Earth. So
Mhm.
the marketing might be trying to tell us that a good chunk of the series this season will take place
No,
on terra
no,
firma.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
no, man.
You want the space?
You have a very cool ship, right?
Well, we
You've
saw some ship.
got a crew.
Well, we see La Serena, right? We see that,
Yes.
but we do see a
And
lot of Earth,
again-
and then we see this poster. So
Maybe the whole first episode is on Earth, much like the first season of Picard, and then we eventually get into space by the third one.
right,
Okay.
right. But
Yeah.
I am
When-
curious
when does-
about this.
Walesboro was the best.
That was very
more
much on
more
Earth.
stuff on Earth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When does Lower Decks come out?
They've-
No dates yet, but
no
pretty
dates.
soon.
Yeah.
Just
I did see it was really cute. So Tawny Newsome, who's also in the show Space Force,
yes.
has been in Vancouver shooting for that. And apparently her, like everyone in the makeup department on that show are huge Trek fans. And so they made her a crossover mug, which is the logo from Space Force, but it's got her character from Lower Decks on the mug too.
That is cool.
And it was really cute.
So Chupi is talking about Trek that takes place on Earth. Some of the best Trek is terra firma, DS9, past tense. The Whale, City on the Edge of Forever, Carbon Creek. I agree with all of those. Carbon
You
Creek, I think,
would
is an
agree.
Enterprise episode, but it's actually a pretty good one. So,
I know the whales.
yep. The
So-
Whales is like one of the best movies.
It is.
I need to
it
get
would-
my DS9 watch along on better.
I need to finish DS9 as
You
well.
really do.
It's been on my list.
Okay, who wants to talk about this finale?
Let's just wrap it up here.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye. Live
We'll
long
be
and
back next
prosper.
week. All right. The Star Trek series finale, All Good Things, aired May 23rd, 1994. Written by Ronald D. Moore, Ronald Battlestar Galactica D. Moore, and Brandon Braga. Directed by Winrich Colby,
Hmm.
who directs Knight Rider a lot. This finale
Hmm.
capped the humanity on trial arc between Q and Picard, or did it? I think we know.
The journey continues.
I think we know the answer is hell no. So everyone, it is time for
Is it? Is it?
it's time for it's hot breaks time.
We're gonna need to make some more of those.
Yeah, there's only 3. Come on, Grant. All right, TNG series finale. I want to go with somebody who this is maybe your second or third time watching this. So who's that besides me?
Trek overall, or
The finale.
Go
with Clyde.
This was the second time I watched it.
All right,
This
Clyde,
is
give us
the-
your hot freak this time.
My hot freak is it felt long. Like I was like, okay, we're jumping back. It was interesting because I kind of knew what was gonna happen. Like I still remember it. So that told me that the first time I saw it, it left a mark, right? A lot of times I'll go back and watch Trek and go, I kind of sort of remember something, but I'm not sure what's about to happen. I knew what was gonna happen. But I thought it was interesting. I thought it was it took me back to I remember some of those initial feelings I had was like, oh, is that what happened? And it gave us a little bit of, in a show like this, when you get to the end, you want to know what happens to the main characters that you've come to love, right? So what we saw here was, we saw that, and it's all fan service, but we saw that Geordi finally got to marry Leah Brahms, right? We saw that for everyone who had hoped that, and Grant's like, huh, what, who? That's okay.
Ignore me.
For everyone who wanted to know the will they or won't they of Picard and Crusher, you got to, not only did you get to see them kiss in a present time, but you got to see that they were married and divorced, and she changed it. Like, you got to see all of that. You got this surprise. What about Deanna Troi and Worf? Dun dun. Right? Like, there's all this, and then the what happens with, like, you got to see the what ifs. And then you got to see this, like, to start over and see this crew that was, brand new and fresh. So it's like, for the final, they brought back Tasha Yar. Like, there's all these moments that felt like, oh, it's warm and fuzzy. This is for me. What a great way to end. And then they erased it and said, none of that has to happen. So it's kind of like they gave you a preview and then erased it all from canon and said, we don't know. It's like, go write your books, go have spinoffs, but you don't have to follow any of that stuff that we laid out.
Buy all these badges and new uniforms we created that you'll never see again.
Yeah. And so I enjoyed it, and it was interesting because it was a Q episode. And I'm not sure if this is where they finally landed, but he wasn't really in the episode a whole lot. Right? He had these touch points. Mm-hmm. But also he felt a little less mischievous, right? Grant, I know you and Mike do a Loki podcast. He felt less like Loki in this episode.
Okay. Yeah. I want to chat about this real quick. I'll give you my hot freak. I have a story about this episode. I watched it live when I was in high school, junior high, when it came out in '94. And in Brownsville, Texas, on Sunday nights, there was a Star Trek block, right? It aired in syndication. So the first block was the first show was 10:30, Deep Space Nine. After that, it was TNG. So me being the nerd that I am, I would always stay up late, park myself in front of the TV, watch DS9, then watch TNG, and then go to bed. Well, one day, I had no idea about series finales or seasons or anything. And one Sunday night, I go and I turn on the TV, and I'm waiting for DS9 to come on because that came on at 10:30. After that was TNG. But TNG starts playing. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I got upset, yo. I was mad. I was like, wait, I need to see Cisco. What is this shit? I need both shows. What is going on? Or did they flip them? So I knew exactly what to do. I grabbed this thing that we used to have called a phone book, big yellow thing. And I flipped through and I found the phone number to the local station that was airing the show. I'm like, I'm going to call these bitches. They screwed up. I want to watch Cisco right now.
This is so funny and so cute.
This is hilarious.
And I called.
Taking us back in time.
I called and I said, hey, my name's Mike. I watch DS9 at 10:30. You're airing TNG. I think you switched it up. What's happening? And they're like, oh, no, sir. Hold on. They put me on hold for a second. They were very accommodating to my ridiculous.
I mean, it's 1994. What else are they doing at
10:30
on a Sunday night?
Right.
The local NBC affiliate or whatever it is. And they come back on, oh, actually, sir, what's happening, if you look in the TV guide, if you have one, what's happening is that this is the 2-part Next Generation series finale. That means that this is the last episode they'll ever air of the Next Generation. And it's 2 hours, so it's going to take up both time slots of Deep Space Nine and TNG. And then Deep Space Nine will return next Sunday. Is that okay? I'm like, wow. That blew my mind. I was like, show's end? This is gonna end, and I get to watch it live. I'm conflicted. Like, this is so cool, but this is also sad. And so I sat there with all these mixed emotions after, freaking out this like burnout who works at the local NBC like affiliate.
The
And
stoner on the midnight
yeah.
shift. Like,
But it was great that they were so accommodating and they put me on hold and explained it. And then
And while you've been on the phone, you missed all the important plot points.
dude, there were commercial breaks back in the day. All right. And so I don't know. I just dove right in and I really loved it. It just blew me away. Like if you want to know my hot freak, guys, I love this episode. I think it's super successful that it's intriguing, it's suspenseful, it's satisfying, even though like nothing of consequence happens at all, which is pretty amazing. It doesn't really end the show or change anything in any way. It just like tells us, oh, the voyage continues. And the voyage did continue. Like right when they finished filming this, they jumped into filming the first TNG movie, like literally like the day after, which is wild. But the puzzle plot is really fun. The time travel stuff is cool. It's fun to see everybody all old and crotchety. Like Picard is great in this. Old man Riker somehow looks more Klingon-y than Worf does, which is strange. I don't know. Delancey's on fire in this. I like that it is kind of weird. You're right. He's not as Loki. Like he's more threatening in this episode. Like he feels like a real threat at times. But this finale it's not really a finale. It's just kind of a love letter to the fans, right? It's just lots of fan service, but somehow the fan service feels like in service of this weird plot. Like it doesn't feel super forced, and it feels just kind of cool to take this like journey through time with these characters. So,
I mean, they even gave us the cool things that we've always secretly wanted, right? Like an Enterprise that cloaks,
right?
3 nacelles and
3 nacelles and like
a super cannon, like
cannon.
Who doesn't want that stuff?
And then a Beverly ship that's like a floating light bulb for some reason. But what I love is that early in the episode, Q mocks Picard for his concern about his crew. He's like, "Oh, you're always worried about Data," and he's trying to figure out humanity and Riker's career, and he just mocks him for that. But in the end, like this whole test that Q puts Picard through makes him appreciate his crew even more and realize that they're his true family and he doesn't want to grow apart from them. And it's all about the people. It's all about less about the space exploration and more about, hey, we actually made a show with characters that you care about. So let's celebrate them. I love that so much.
Oh, it's like they copied Lost.
Yeah, it's like they went 20 years in the future and copied Lost. Yes.
It's a time travel episode.
What happened, Grant.
Mariah,
it's
you go.
So funny because the entire I've probably seen maybe the first half. I don't know if I've sat down to watch all of this before in one sitting. I was like, this is a choice for a finale. And
hated it.
I think because I think the Voyager finale is so satisfyingly good and like wraps it up in a very particular way.
Hey guys, let's go ahead and move on.
What is going on?
The Voyager finale is a pale comparison to this one, but go ahead.
I very much disagree. It makes sense to me that the movies came after this because I did not find this to be a very satisfying finale episode. Exactly, Carolyn. The Voyager finale is excellent. It ends with them set a course for home. The catchphrase from the very first episode. Anyway, we have a big bad. It's exciting. Anyway, I don't need to compare the two because I know in my heart of hearts what is true. I know in my heart of hearts what is true. But yeah, it makes sense to me that the movies came after this because I did not think this felt like a full ending for all of these characters. And so the idea that I think there's an emotional stakes that is set for actors when this is the last time you're playing these characters on screen. And the fact that this was not the last time these folks were going to be playing these characters on a screen, I think could be felt in a particular way. Because like, I think of like my favorite finales are things like Voyager, 6 Feet Under, The Good Place, Parks and Rec. Like to me, those are all like very emotionally fulfilling season finales. And I personally did not find this to be, it was like, oh, you all come together, you play poker, you see that you can change your fates. Like, this is all very interesting. I found Q, and it felt like a finale for Q and Picard and for no one else to me. So
Cool.
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and the show didn't end, right? It graduated to features.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, everything what you're saying is totally valid. Yeah.
And I agree, because I think we also see that Worf ends up in DS9. And it just felt like, yeah, it definitely felt like they were gonna go on. There was more to come.
Right. I was like, oh, you're not detaching, you're not playing these characters for the last time. And so Carol just said, it was a really great season finale. It did not feel like a series finale to me.
How about just as an episode? How did you feel about it as an episode?
Thought it was a little long, but it was good. Because it was 2 parts, and I thought that was a little, it's like, it's 2 parts because it is the finale. But if this was just a regular episode or just like a regular season finale, I don't think it needed to be 2 parts.
Well, Mariah, I think one of the things that makes Voyager so different is Voyager at the time was the last Star Trek series. So that finale was like,
bye-bye.
we're saying goodbye to the franchise. And what we would realize is we're not sure when the franchise is coming back.
Exactly.
Right. And so that's different. When you think about when this ended, you already had DS9 going. Voyager was likely already planned, and you had movies. So there was nothing about this that said goodbye, Star Trek. Voyager was like, hey, it's been a long road. We may be done. Like, that's it.
Get them from there to here. The cool thing about the Voyager finale was that Voyager always had an endpoint in mind, and then they reached that endpoint. So that was satisfying. I can see I can see, Mariah, why you're saying that this wasn't satisfying, because really, it wasn't really meant as an end, right? It was just like the message was the voyage goes on. See you at the movies, right?
Right, which is why I was like, this is the series finale? Like,
but it's not, because it's like we got, 10, 12 more hours of content after this over the next decade. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that's my hot freight. Grant?
Well, I don't want to belabor our now. I think we've been doing this for a bit. I think this is the best episode of TNG I've seen.
Cool.
Thus far.
Faint praise.
I really enjoyed it. I think that Mariah made some excellent points about what is the merits of a series finale versus a great episode of television. The way they wove the 3 timelines was really fun for me. I'm playing a little bit of catch up with some of these like relationship dynamics, because I was like, Worf and what's her name are together. What's going on there? I don't know what that is. Those two. What is that sweater he's wearing?
It looks cozy.
But
warm, yes.
I think that how everything played off of each other, how they had Picard jumping through timelines to like share information he was learning along the way with each of those people, and then like really elevating the brilliance of Data and Geordi in particular, and how they were able to like troubleshoot certain things and pass along information as well. That was all really cool. There is something to be said for this being a series finale that it missed the mark there. I guess for me and Mariah, in that there isn't a proper tribute being played, and this isn't just because there was movies coming out of this. I think, there's other TV shows that have nailed a finale like MASH that like pay tribute to all of their characters, and this wasn't like before finales were important. So it does seem a little bit. It's a great bookend for where we started with the relationship between Picard and Q. And I know we're going to dive a little bit more into what that is. It's weird as a finale. It was fun as a 2-part episode for me.
I feel like this finale was. I think you guys are right. The guys who wrote it and produced it were kind of in their own heads about, okay, we're going to move on to the movies. Let's celebrate the characters and move on, right? And I think that's what they did. And that kind of I don't know. I'm always a sucker for that kind of ending. Grant, you don't believe me, but I love the Lost finale. I love shows that wrap up and just celebrate the characters because for me that's what the investment is, right? Investing in these characters.
Well,
Right.
Grant, I like what you said about kind of a series finales highlighting kind of the characters. That is something that we didn't get here.
Well, I think that's Mariah said that.
Oh, Mariah said that. Well, I think that was something that was missing. Like that was clearly something. Like when I think about it, because
we got to see every character, and then the message at the end was that it was important. These people were so important to each other in their lives that it was important that they all realize that they should not drift apart. And I think that was in service of celebration of these characters and their bond. But yeah, the focus was really on Picard and Q. You're right.
Yeah, I felt like the book very much felt closed for Picard and Q, but I was like, all I've really learned at this point, especially for like Troy and for Crusher, is like I've literally only learned about your relationships by the end of this and who you've ended up with. I have no
Troy's
idea.
dead.
Yep.
It's like there's very little character development for me for them, which is sad. And then like, although there are things I did find very funny and charming, like the fact that Data put gray in his hair because it made him feel more distinguished. Like those are things that I find very like.
Did you see all those cats?
There was a lot of cats, and I love cats, and I love cats, but it was.
Why does he have a limey chambermaid?
It was, there
so
was
weird.
some just like weird things. And then I did not love the initial interaction between Picard and Geordi on the vineyard. There was some like weirdness there that didn't feel great to me.
There's a lot of barking at Geordi, and Geordi just being like, okay, dude, we'll do whatever you want.
There was a great part though where Geordi comes up and tries to give Picard some tips on how to handle his crops when Picard runs a fucking vineyard. Oh, it's great that you and your wife are dabbling in gardening. I run a fucking vineyard. Yeah, please give me some more tips on how to like handle my crops.
And not just he runs a vineyard, but like this has been a thing his family has done since like forever.
Audacity.
It's like, hey, have you tried this?
Let's talk about Q's role in this episode. Did you guys think that this was a good Q episode in terms of the way Q was portrayed and used? And what can we glean about this for Picard season 2?
I absolutely felt like this is a vindication of what we've been examining for that. Are there more Q episodes, or were we specially choosing just certain key Q episodes?
There are more. We chose like just key TNG Q episodes. He also shows up on DS9 and
we should do some Voyager Q
right
episodes.
Yeah, some of those are really good.
I thought this was validating of the idea that everything that he's done has been in service of this of testing the boundaries and building up and making a stronger and better and more ideal Picard for what he needs in his ultimate purpose later down the timeline. If time is, well, that's too much, Mike. If time is not the same linear construct for Q, he's able to pop in and out and kind of fuck with him sometimes, and then other times really put him through a trial that makes him learn something. This felt like the validation of that he was able to push him to a limit where Picard was able to acknowledge and recognize himself across 3 timelines and pull on his strength in each one to save humanity, save the galaxy, save whatever from some weird time glitch, reverse time thing that was going on.
Anti-time.
Anti-time mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, I liked. I felt like this was almost a fairly redeeming episode in a weird way for Q for me, in that he does seem to have like almost like a soft spot for humanity, right? Like he doesn't have to let Picard in on these clues to allow humanity to happen. Like he's an omnipresent like being that time and space doesn't really matter, right? Like there's a whole universe he could go around and mess with, but he seems to have this interesting soft spot for humanity, specifically like in this particular timeline, and finds Picard fascinating enough and a worthy enough opponent to want to have these exercises and experiments with. I did think it was like I mean, Q is just so campy and silly in a lot of ways too, that I just like love all of the outfits. I think so much of the theatrics are very funny and like entertaining to watch. And I love the part where they go to like the primordial ooze and he's just like, oh, the amino acids are about to form with proteins, creating the first signs of life. Oh no, it didn't happen. And you're just like, what? Like,
When I was a kid, I was like, what is happening during that scene? My mind exploded and I've never recovered.
And he just like grabs the goo and he's
Mhm.
just like, this is it, Picard. You know, it was like
Yeah.
so theatrical and silly, but it's also like everything in life could be theatrical and silly. So
Yeah.
why not? I don't know. I enjoyed this particular performance from John Delancey as Q.
Choopy had a quick thought right before we get to you, Clyde. The new thing I took away from this watch of All Good Things was really how kind of disgusted Q was with the continuum for making him put Picard through this. I never caught that before. There are definitely undercurrents of that. I'm not sure if that's text, but what do you guys think about that?
You know, I didn't pick up on the fact that he was disgusted, but I did pick up on the fact that he was an ally. You know, Mariah, you mentioned that
Yeah.
he's been fascinated by kind of humans forever. And this is one of those things where it's like, hey, they're kind of out to get you, but I'm going to help you out here, right? Like I've been poking at you and prodding you for the last 7 years. Now, you know, I got your back. And so when you say that kind of note about redemption for Q, it was kind of interesting to me in that it did feel like, wow, you've kind of been an ass for 7 years. And now you show up and it's like, oh, you're actually helping, right? Nevertheless, you're the reason why the Borg, you know, found us. Now you're showing up and going, hey, you don't need to ask for my help. I'm not looking for you to ask for my help, but I got you in this case. And I appreciated that. And then at the end when he was like, and we're not done, like, you know, maybe I'll pop in. It was kind of like, okay, that to me sets up hopefully what we're going to see in Picard.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really good point. I like that Picard acknowledges that Q is likely helping him figure out this puzzle. He acknowledges that to his crew. He's like, I think he's trying to help me. He's giving me clues. And I really like that because I just really like that in all the Q episodes that we see, there's always a scene or a piece of it where you understand that Q really likes hanging out with Picard and thinks that maybe he's one of the most interesting humans in the whole galaxy, and that's why he's putting him through all this stuff. And also because he wants to hang out with him. Or like Grant says, he loves him.
Tell
And
me he has a crush on him.
yeah. And it's nice to see that kind of reciprocated from Picard to him, for him to recognize that, saying he kind of likes me, he's kind of helping me. Maybe he's kind of my frenemy and not this evil entity trying to really destroy humanity.
Yeah, I never go ahead, Greg. Oh, I was gonna say I never get full destruction mode from Q in most things. Like it feels like someone, I mean, it's anytime you have someone who's in like a huge position of power, right? It's like, prove to me that you are worthy. rather than full on destruction. To me, anyway. What were you going to say, though, Grant?
I think that now I don't even know what I was going to say. I was going to say something to the effect of the Q relationship. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I don't understand Q's fascination with Picard. Like, Q's certainly interesting, and there's a lot of great cats out there in the galaxy for him to kind of mess with. Picard, to me, from my limited exposure, seems cantankerous and boring.
I think it's
I appeal of Picard.
The reason that
Kick him out the show, Mike.
I don't want to get in trouble. The reason that he's so into Picard is because Picard is the main character of the show.
Yeah.
Yes, that's pretty much it. But otherwise, I'm like, he's an asshole.
Well,
he's stubborn. He doesn't want to learn, and I don't find that he makes the best decisions overall.
Here's the thing you've got to keep in mind, though, right? Like, even if that stuff is true, and it's not, but if it were true, you're talking about Picard, who is the captain of the flagship ship of the Federation.
He's the best of the best.
He's the best of the best. So if anybody is you're going to put anybody on trial to represent humanity, it's that guy.
The Enterprise is the best ship in the fleet.
It's the flagship. But
it's the flagship.
I had no idea about that either. I thought it was like one of the ships.
The Federation and Starfleet represents the apex pretty much of humanity, and the Enterprise is a hood ornament, and Picard is in the driver's seat. So he is based, and the Enterprise is going out for the most expansive space exploration mission ever. So in essence, Picard is the representative for humanity to all these strange new worlds that are out, and all new entities and anything that you'll find out in the cosmos. So, of course, Q is going to pick him and be interested in him.
It's just, like, man, what aggravates me is my introduction to Trek is that I saw Michael Burnham, and Michael Burnham is so fucking interesting and so awesome, and like a person who's a complete force of nature. Q would want to hang out with Michael Burnham. He wouldn't want to hang out with
in their heads.
Picard.
Writer's room.
Yes, don't we?
Yeah, I want to see that.
Like, the problem is that Picard's boring when you put him up next to Michael Burnham. I mean,
I think what I'm sensing from you is just kind of a theme that we got from you, which is just, this is old TV and it's slow and boring and different. Which,
it's like the idea of God revealing the Bible to people who couldn't read. Like, no, there's more interesting people you could reveal that to, dude. You know the whole timeline. Why you gotta reveal it to them? Q, come on.
That's why there's always going to be a problem with omnipresent beings. Whatever,
that's my problem.
But I would think of it as like, I wish they had made, and I'd have to like, there's so many like weird time travel-y history episodes of Trek. But it's like, if Q was to appear to different beings throughout time, right, to test humanity, it would be like, oh, I'm going to reveal myself to the head of like the Roman Empire, or like the Ottoman Empire, or any of these like other really large, catastrophically treacherous times of humanity, right? And so if this is like this present point in time where the Federation is sending a ship out for its longest and most in-depth discovery mission into space, that would also make sense to me if I was like writing the character of an omnipresent being.
Also, it just works dramatically because the characters are such excellent foils to each other that the sparks just fly. It just works so well.
I feel like that's why Discovery like undercuts these other shows. Like, in a way, I can understand why some people are angry about Discovery now, having seen some of these other episodes, because I'm like, yeah, man, you have such interesting things going on in like this god ship that is the Discovery that can jump throughout time, that it really, like, these points, these episodes, when I go back and rewatch them, I'm like,
Also, these episodes, just like this finale, I think are really earn that celebration of humanity and humanity's potential more than I mean, Discovery does it too, but I think TNG really set that template and did it really well, and probably does it better than Discovery does.
Well, and I
But
think
I
it's
love them both.
I think it's different. Like it's hard to compare because we're talking about a lot of changes in fundamental television between TNG and
Yeah.
Discovery, right? Just the way stories are told in general. I mean, TNG was much more like it's much more conversation. It's much more thoughtful and like, what should we do? What is the ethical dilemma that we're faced with? Where like at no point do you see Riker running through anything the way Book runs through stuff, right? Book's constantly running. Like it's like if Book's not running, it's like what's going on? Something's about to happen because Book's about to run, right?
Actors have to be in so much better shape now.
So much better shape, right?
He's either running or petting
This guy-
or
Yeah,
petting Grudge.
That guy's not
Running.
running.
Anywhere.
Right? Like I look
Although
at
it's like
Burnham and go and start to and I just start to like, man, I'm tired. Like just the
Right.
way she's always running. She's running through the ship. She's just running around the ship half the time.
Although there is a difference too between having to create plots and hold on to them and create characters that can exist for 22 episodes a
Mhm.
season versus characters that have to exist for 10 episodes.
It-
And so getting from point A to point B is much different in
It
those
is.
types of seasons.
That being said, I don't want to see Q and Burnham. I don't need it. I don't want it. However, Q and Taryn Giorgio, man, that's good television.
I
That would
think
be
if the Q season of Picard is successful, they'll definitely bring him back. There's so many Star Trek shows now.
And I mean, we did get a little bit of, those like time traveler, omnipresent beings in Discovery this past season with the
Mhm.
The Guardian of
Guardians.
Forever. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Chupi has a few words. I thought the trailer for Picard season 2 looked in Picard. I thought for the trailer in Picard looks almost happy to see Q. I didn't catch that.
I bet because there's like a bunch of fuckery going on, and he's probably like, it makes sense now. I get
It's
it.
you. And last
It's
time we
you.
did this, I figured it out and it was good. And you kind of helped me. So okay.
I was thinking it was because he was like, hey, you're going to save the ratings. This is going to help.
Oh.
Like, hey, what skin cream are you using? Because that shit
That
looks
too.
good.
It does look good. I will
Like,
say the
what is your regimen?
Paramount CBS is dropping the dollars, so they are paying the big bucks for all of these Trek shows and just like all shows in general. Like my other favorite television show, Drag Race, their All-Star season is only on Paramount Plus for this season, and they have spent a lot of Dolores on
Well,
that. On
I
that
mean,
show.
it's paying off, right? Because if you
Right.
think about it, we have just spent the last hour talking about a trailer that was what? A few, like not even a
less
full
than a minute.
less than a minute. Like we spent the last hour talking about a trailer that's less than a minute, and then we've gone back, watched old Trek, so that we can be ready for the new season of a show that none of us would put in the top 5 of Star Trek shows. Like no one
True,
here would say rank them. Picard's
Yeah.
in the top 5.
But it's
The-
because this coming season of Picard is going to pay this off,
Yeah.
which is Q telling Picard the trial never ends and then blowing in his ear like he loves him.
Sexy earplay.
So to the point, Mariah, I mean, it seems like to me that the money that they've shelled out is already paying dividends.
Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, a bunch of us have Paramount Plus like accounts, and it's really for one reason. Like, don't get me wrong, The Good Wife or The Good Fight is a very good show. It's a very good show.
I
But
like
that's-
Clarice. It's a good show.
That's not why I have a subscription.
Mhm.
The actor who plays in Discovery, she has the thing, and I like her. I'm forgetting her name.
Kayla.
She's on Clarice.
Oh,
Um,
and Bob loves Bob Hart's Abishola is a great show. Again, not why I have my subscription.
Okay, real quick. QP says, Pod, Grant, you need to watch Death Wish.
Hmm.
Grant, have you seen the
Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson series Death Wish?
No,
There's also a remake with Bruce Willis.
I didn't know I need to see some Charles Bronson, but okay, cool.
So Mariah, Death Wish is a Voyager episode, right?
Yes.
And which
It
it's a
is.
Q episode, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you guys want to watch more Q episodes as we go on? I'd only like pick these from TNG. I thought they would be relevant.
I mean, it's a dark one, so just be prepared.
What happens in that one?
It's a suicidal Q.
It's the Right to Life
Oh.
episode.
Mhm.
Right.
I think I've managed to not have to see any of the Voyager episodes so far.
We
So
made you
now
watch
we
that
have
Lower Decks one.
Voyager.
Did I?
Voyager.
With Kate is she the one? Kate Mulgre's leader?
Yeah.
We
I
should
don't know how to
obviously
watch
watch some
Voyager episode.
Voyager because Prodigy is coming up, and we need to get Grant up to speed on the epicness that is Catherine Janeway.
Mariah,
we
why
could
don't
just
you
listen
pick
to
a
some
couple
Prodigy.
of Mariah? Why don't you pick a couple of Janeway spotlight episodes for us to watch before Prodigy?
Ooh, excited. Will do.
I don't
Content for the
recall-
off season.
I seriously do not recall watching any Voyager. What was this episode I watched?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It was not a great one. It was the one that was kind of like the TNG Lower Decks episode.
Mm-hmm.
No recollection. Okay.
I
Sure.
forgot what
I
it was
watched
called.
it, I guess.
All right, guys. Okay, watching this, I am even more excited to see Q come back in season 2 because it feels like I said earlier, it feels like the writers of Picard are going to build upon what happened in this episode, and I think especially upon what happened in Tapestry, where Q creates these pocket timelines for our characters to go through and have trials. And I think that with Picard, the Picard show being so, the themes being so much about aging
Regret.
and mortality and regret, I think it has the potential to make all this silly Q stuff a little more profound. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think it's gonna be very interesting. Yeah, I do think it was really necessary to watch these episodes in prep for Picard, and it also means because it's not coming out till 2022, I'm probably gonna have to rewatch this one again in preparation for the actual series for once it comes out. But I am excited for John Delancey to return. I hope they keep him as campy as ever, because I do think it would be nice with how serious of a tone they've taken with the show to have a little breath of levity every now and again.
Yeah, I mean, P.W. Gregory says Q seems to be a much needed injection of adrenaline for Picard. And Grant, I think that's what you've been
Right.
saying
Agreed.
through all our chats about Picard season 2.
And
And
it's like,
yeah, and he looks a lot better
Than
in the
there.
real future than he does in this episode where he aged himself up.
although I do think a beard would be cool on Picard, but
Mhm.
I'm so surprised Q was not even in the first season of Picard because of this rewatch. It's now so apparent how integral he is to Picard's growth as like a human being.
Yeah.
Very
Because
much.
he is that very first episode, he is the finale, he is all throughout the whole series. So it's like, oh wow, yeah, this makes total sense.
I just found out what that Voyager episode was that you guys made me watch. Good Shepherd. Ugh.
Mm.
Oh
Okay.
yes, Good Shepherd.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I looked it up and I see the pictures and I vaguely remember this thing and just thinking, ugh, all those ensigns sucked. Get rid of all of them.
Well, let's end this episode of the pod by saying thank you to the cast and crew of The Next Generation, because I love this finale, and I think there's parts of it that we can all agree that are pretty great, even if it's kind of an odd series finale if you really think about it. But I'm so happy that we watched all these Q episodes, and we'll watch more, but I think we'll maybe move on to some Janeway episodes as we go forward to prepare for Star Trek Prodigy, which is going to be the next Trek show that is going to drop on CBS All Access this year,
Mhm.
with hologram Janeway, with Catherine Janeway coming back to play a hologram version of Janeway. So that should be cool. Chupi keeps screaming Death Wish, Death Wish.
I'll include Death Wish. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It'll be in there.
We will watch Death Wish, Chupi. Thank you. All right, guys. I think we're coming up on the hour. We're past the hour.
Mhm.
So thanks again, everybody, for joining us on the pod. We're going to be back. I think we're going to come back next Wednesday, right,
Mhm.
Mariah?
Yes.
Because it is the last day of the month, Wednesday. And since we skipped last week, we kind of got our schedule mixed up. But we're not going to do our regular Thursday. We're going to do Wednesday with a special Pride celebration episode talking about Jadzia Dax, maybe some other characters too. So come back Wednesday for that.
Yes, please do. It's going to be fun. A celebration of Dax. I'm very excited about it. Pansexuals, bisexuals unite. It's going to be a great watch and an episode. But make sure you visit us at StarTrekPod.co so you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find all of the links to where we are in podcast platforms as well as on YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube and hit that notification bell so you never miss us going live.
Patreon.com/Star Trek Pod. You can go there and make your per episode pledge. Give us $2 an episode and join us over on the exclusive Slack channel where there are watch alongs and discussions of all things Trek. It is a friendly and inclusive environment, and we would love to have you guys there.
Yeah,
And,
clothing optional.
Clothing preferred. Clothing
because
optional.
we cannot see you, so it does not matter.
Star Trek, patreon.com/Star Trek Pod. If you're enjoying what you're hearing here and you want to hear more of us, you want to keep us going, keep this little project going, and you want to have a little bit more, come join the community. $2 an episode, and we appreciate all of your support.
Hey, you want to know how to find out more about what's going on when we have extra episodes or we're just talking about Trek? Well, there's a great thing that you can do. You can just follow us. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Star Trek Pod. And I just want to give a moment to shout out to James Worm and Karen who run our socials. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks so much. Yep. Thanks for hanging with us on the pod. Join us next week, Wednesday, for our Pride celebration. That's all we got. Live long and prosper.